Welcome back, Lenny. Hope you're doing good, as always. Cheers, and let's begin. In this video, I want to talk about something that I touched in the previous video, and what I'm going to talk about is basically at the essence of how the game of life is being played. And to simplify things, I'm just illustrating it like, and I'm calling them memory bubbles, your desire bubbles. It may be easier to understand that the same patterns that are keep appearing in your life that leading to the negative feelings, emotions, and negative thoughts um, are basically like almost like a first step um, in order for you to reprogram them. This idea that we're playing this video game called Earth, and that um, things are fucked up, is a wrong idea. It's that idea comes from not understanding of how this game works. We come in with a certain level of those what I call distortions, and you can call these like negative memory bubbles or nightmare scenarios, or and so there's a lot of these scenarios in relationship, maybe in relationship to business, relationship to people, relationship to your family, friends, like all in these types of scenarios. There are presumably 56 of these bubbles. There may be more, but 56 core ones, because like I said before, there are just mathematically there are 7 rainbow colors that they go based on the intensity and the transparency, right? Opaqueness and transparency, if you will, which gives them this dimension of intensity and voidness, if you will. White, black. White is not a color, black is not a color, it's a level of intensity, but there is that sort of like a dynamic there. You could call it masculine, feminine, if you will. And there are 4 elements in each of the colors. There are the element of fire, element of water, element of air, and then element of earth, right? So if you count 7 times 2 times 4, you get 56. And that may be just branches, and there may be a lot more little ones. It might be like this tree of life has 56 branches, let's just say that, which means that it has one core, one trunk, 56 branches, and then perhaps there's a way to see the exact number by investigating the flower of life of how many fruit there may be. But anyway, I don't want to expand on the specifics of that, but I just want to draw the picture so you can see that life is about those, starting with the negative memory bubble, reprogramming it, if you will, into the positive memory bubble. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And if we're not doing it, we're actually not living life. We're just continuing perpetuating the same pattern and whining and moaning about it. Life is fucked up, Earth is this or this. No, you're just not playing the game right. And in this video, I want to talk about of basically not leaving any stone unturned, and communicate how it is done step by step, that is practical. Okay, the first thing that you may want to do is to eliminate distractions. That's the first thing that you may want to do, which means if you have like a scrolling habit, any of these habits that it's just a distraction. Once you're going to eliminate those distractions, then you're technically going to be by yourself, right? Like, I don't know why I did the bunny ears, but by yourself. And when you're by yourself and you cannot cling on anything outside you, now you are in your own space. What may not be pleasant at first is to see that when you're by yourself like this, these negative thoughts keep popping up. Okay, but this is the first clue. And so I want to describe the process step by step of how it is done, and anybody can do it. And I'm not talking to, you know, I'm talking about anyone who has sufficient intelligence to understand of what I'm talking about, or has interest and desire in playing this game of life the way it's supposed to be played. And I'm going to say, even improving it, that it's not technically possible to improve with your mind, but it is possible to improve with your soul, because you're changing something, what you are, who you are. And only when you change what you are, your reality changes. There might be all sorts of thoughts like, well, why other people can, why I have to. This is just, again, not seeing the how the reality works. And you just, first of all, you have to just accept the fact that consciousness is lawful. Upon any kind of investigation, you can find that is amazingly lawful phenomena, and therefore you cannot argue with the certain laws. You got to have that basis of reality, which is unarguable. You have to have that. If you don't have it, you don't have basis of reality. Then everything can be anything, right? But if you have the basis of the reality, then at least you have a spine, you have a backbone. And one of those bases basically say that what you are in your soul, that quality is going to be produced in your mind and the body. It's what you are in your soul, naturally. Now, if you don't play the game like this, from the bottom of your soul to the mind and the body in this type of direction, what normally people do is they may work really hard on the body level and just keep on trying to, keep the body young, or whatever they want to do, fit, whatever. So just keep working on the body. It's not really touching anything to the soul. There's no, even if you can be really, really good physically, you're still not healthy, mentally, if you will. Then other group of people may engage into the mind and say, well, manifesting, I'm into manifesting now. And so then again, they would be just like working really hard with their intention and imagination to create some sort of reality. Meanwhile, the heart is still dark, still not good enough, and it's not how the life is being played. It's still fighting with the reality itself. It's still fighting with who you are. If what you are is distorted, whatever you imagine in your imagination as not distorted, it's just going to be like a band-aid solution, and it's not going to be really resolving the problem, and it's going to keep on requiring your energy, perpetuating this thing and never stopping. The moment you stop, then the real self shines through and everything starts collapsing. Okay? So, let's stop this nonsense and let's do it the right way. And this is how it is done. Remove all the distractions. The negative thoughts may pop up. Now, the first thing that you gotta do is to debunk those negative thoughts. Don't let them get away with saying something that is not true, because they're gonna be saying that is not something that's not true, and you're gonna see the evidence outside of you that is not true. You can debunk them in this way. You can say, and the thought may say like, "Oh, nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me," or something like that. Then you can say, "Is this true?" And then you may obviously say, "Well, that's not true, because at least once in my life somebody did care about me, and and at least one person perhaps loved me." Or not even a person, maybe a pet. So you can debunk that thought. Once you debunk that thought, it's like, well, that's not true. Then the thought doesn't have any kind of argument anymore, because now you're shining the light upon the bullshit that the thoughts are creating. And that's a cerebral level, right? That outer level. That's your body, actually. The body brain. The brain does that. Once you debunk the brain, then you go in the limbic system, and that's normally when you debunk the brain, the emotions may start pouring out. Okay? And same thing with the emotions. You let them go, and they may be starting with the negative side of it, right? Which is like, "Oh, nobody loves me, blah blah blah, poor little me." But then you can flip it around, and again find that somebody does love you, and you will, because it's the other side is always there. And then you can feel the emotions that are of the feeling of being loved, rather than the feeling, the emotion of being loved, rather than emotion of being abandoned, for example. Okay? So now you went from the thought, cerebral, into emotional, limbic, and now we're going into the cerebellum, the deep, deep, deep. And then once the negative thoughts are cleared off, once emotions are cleared off, then you may be able to be aware of the feeling. There might be all sorts of emotions. It's not really important what kind of emotions, but like, for example, the emotion of fear is the emotion of fear stems from pain, from sorrow. If there is a sorrow there's going to be fear, because it's like a seed and a germ, right? Emotional side of it is a germ. And then the thoughts that you were talking about, that was the flowering. So now you went like backwards from the tree of knowledge, going back into the seed of knowledge, and then we're gonna fertilize that seed and make the tree of life out of this. This is what we're doing right now. So now you went to the seed level, and then you may be completely facing and looking at that thing called pain, that sorrow that may be anywhere in your body. That is like, and you can, when you're in that state, you're like, okay, I found the source, because there's no thoughts right now, there's no emotions, but I'm staring with my attention at that seed, and I'm looking at it, I'm feeling it, like, motherfucker, this is where it all came from that seed of sorrow, if you will. Now, but now you're looking at it. When you get to that point, first of all, trust me that is extremely valuable point to be, and there's nothing more important that you can do in that moment in the entire existence and it's space and time. Because staring at that, initially the mind may want to intervene and say, what are you doing? We got to do this, we got to do this, and try to distract, because they're panicking, because you are basically eroding that seed of misery. So now you're looking at it, and my advice, if you got to the point of that and you get to face this, that seed, that pain or whatever, that may be some sort of feeling. In this case, I'm talking about pain, fear, and then fearful thoughts, right? There might be something else. There might be sort of like sadness, depressive emotion, and then goes into the pressure, the sense of pressure in your chest, for example. That's also a feeling. It's not the same as pain, but it's a feeling. You got to the bottom of it. You can stay with that pressure now. You can stare at it with your attention. And that act of you being completely attentive of it is extremely valuable. And my advice is, don't look away as long as it takes. Do not look away from it. You keep on looking at it without really doing anything, except what I said. There is a way to look at it that is sort of you being attentive of it to the most intense pixel from where everything comes from, that attention that is as sharp as possible, and at the same time you're moving into the space of everything that you can possibly touch as a space in the background. This is a type of focus. It is going from the most intense point into most relaxed point, and you want to be sort of like focused in between, aware of that feeling and aware of the background of the feeling, and that in a way gives you a type of looking at it. You may be saying like it's looking with the extreme gentleness, if you will, because of the space that you give that everything that space is like a soft, and now all of the softness around something that is super sharp, and so you give that softness to that thing that's super sharp, and that super sharp starts getting a little bit more fuzzy, softer, perhaps warmer. Every time may be different. This is why it's not important, but you can be there. And you let that flower. You let that flower as long as it takes. And it may be that like, well, and why do I say as long as it takes is because you got to get the mind out of this idea of trying to get away with it and saying like, well, we got to do this, we can't just stay here and staring at this is stupid, this is like, you got to get that temporal mind off and to be in completely say, awareness and attention of that thing that you're looking at as the most incredible jewel that you've ever witnessed. And you stay with it, and don't try to eliminate it. You do not want to eliminate it. There's one way I could say that you don't want to eliminate the knot of the wool that you could potentially make a sweater out of. Sweater is like the energy being weaved in a harmonic pattern, which is the what we're looking at, what we're after, that thing, right? But saying that we have to eliminate the ball of wool because it's like knotted and it's knotted, right? It's not a sweater. It is incorrect. You got to sort of like look at it until that thread by thread is sort of being weaved into the sweater, and that ball is going shrinking and turns into the sweater. And the sweater is the analogy for peaceful bliss. But you don't try to go to the peaceful bliss. And I'm saying that that's the end zone, but you don't look for it. Don't look for it. Just know that, trust that that is the outcome. But what that feeling wants of you is do not any kind of imposition. Not no, that feeling does not want your intention. It doesn't want you intending making something, right, to that feeling. It doesn't want your intention. It wants your attention. This is why you're not trying to get to the peace or bliss. You are just facing that feeling that the mind labeled as very uncomfortable. And you're staying with it until the mind shuts off, and you stay with it and give as much softness as possible and be with it, be with it, be with it as long as it takes. If life gets in the way, okay, fine. Go back. The next moment that you can do this, go back to it. But don't let it go. I'll tell you why it's not worth letting it go. Because once you're at that point, you want to be completely with it until it dissipates. It's no longer there. You don't want to leave a shred of it. Because if you let a little bit of shred of it, it's like that ball of wool is just gonna go back into this big knot again. It has to be completely when you cannot find it anymore. And when you can't find it, when you cannot find it, then you're gonna be feeling the other side of it, which is this peaceful, blissful feeling, because there's just no more of that knotted energy, that seed of knowledge. It's no more. Ego, if you will. No more. But you transformed ego into your soul, if you will. There was no killing anything. There's no dying, if you will. You can say that there was a process of dying and being born at the same time, if you will. There weren't. At the same time, I want to say that there was no drugs involved. There's no psychedelics involved. My take on psychedelics at this point is that it is a peak. Peak. Yes, it may be a peak experience, but it's also like peeking through the hole, so to speak, into another world. But that does not make you. It just makes you like some guru said. It just makes you visit Christ, but not to hang out. Like it makes you visit. Excuse me. I should say, it just makes you visit, but not to always be with. Okay. To always be with. This is the only way that I'm describing to you, and it's done with your attention and awareness, and no other tools are necessary. But I've noticed that there is a process. If somebody is in the matrix and everything's moving and they're just doing the things and they're in the distraction zone, they're doing nonsense, absolute nonsense. It's not gonna get anywhere. It's just gonna give them a dopamine hit or whatever, right? That first thing gotta go, poof. But then the person may be sitting with their like anxiety and these negative thoughts or all that stuff. It's okay, go into negative thoughts. Interrogate your negative thoughts. I'm saying something that is more practical, what's really going on, because I've just watched people and I just watched what's going on. Because if I were to say, hey, just go to the feeling, it may not be very relatable to you. Because it's like, oh, I can't find the feeling. It's just negative thoughts are running all over. Like, what feeling? What are you talking about? But deal with the level of thoughts. Debunk your thoughts with your reason. because a lot of these thoughts are going to be emotional thoughts, but with your sharp reasoning you can debunk them and say, this is not true, this is not true. How do you know this is true? We don't know this is true. And you can keep on debunking your thoughts, and then the emotional thoughts will stop, and then emotion may show up. And emotion, can play its own game again. Emotions say, well, poor little me, playing the victim card. But then say, well, what about the other side? What about somebody, just what about the other side of feeling, rather than poor little me, that anybody actually cares about me. And then you can also find that emotion that somebody actually does. Some soul in your life you will find to be loving you. That's just the way you can consult that basically on the process of emotion. And then that can still may not be, obviously it's not, but then only then it can take you to the deep sorrow, to the deep pain, and you sort of like dug your way into that level. And then, like I said, then the later you just sit with it, look at it, and almost like play with it like a jewel, because it's gonna do some magical shit if you just keep on looking at it. At first it may be like uncomfortable and whatnot, and it's like you're trying to get rid of it. It's like, how can I keep on looking at it? But the more you look at it, the more attention you give to it, you notice that, oh, it's becoming less and less uncomfortable, just because I'm giving a right type of attention to it. Or maybe if you give like a really good attention, it may disappear completely, and you stay there until it disappears completely, and something awesome starts shining from the other side. And when something awesome is shining from the other side, then you can see, okay, what is this feeling that you discovered, and that what is this feeling is doing, and you can let that feeling move, and it may create all sorts of emotions of joy, sensuality, whatever is there for you, whatever that bubble that you've been alchemizing, the other side of it. Okay? And then you build it up like this. Discover this wonderful feeling. Let it flower to emotions. Then let those emotions flower into thoughts. See, because I'm not... In this case, the thoughts are going to be more like insights, and they're going to be beautiful thoughts. And I think that there are beautiful thoughts. There are beautiful thoughts. They're not made by the same process of thinking, but they bubble up naturally through the process of feeling, having an emotion, and then that image, because thought is an image, that image coming online. You started with an image that nobody loves you, and you went to the image that, the love is all around, whatever, right? Like, I'm just describing, but it might look like something to you as that image, that you've discovered that image within yourself, rather than imposing that image of what it should be. You unraveled from that seed of life into the germ and into the flower, and at that point you've done it. Now it's done. It's gonna come into your physical reality in some way or another. And if you've done it, then you can, all right, there's no distractions anymore. There's no thoughts. There's no emotions. There's just stillness and some wonderful feeling. And now, the next inspiration, the next idea that pops into your mind that feels for that particular day, they feel that's like, oh, that would be amazing. All right, that's what I would do. And then you do that because you went from like um, the outcome, right? And now, once the outcome is done, you go back to, okay, basically show me what is the next most exciting thing that I can do to move towards the outcome. Because you already created the outcome. Now you're looking for the breadcrumbs that's going to take you there. And it's going to breadcrumb you through this feeling of excitement and passion. And you say, which one, what do I do next, right? Nothing to do with your schedule, nothing to do with the structure that you used to have. It's like, what is the most exciting thing that I can do? And it may be something like, I don't know, it may be, oh man, it would be really nice to go to the store and buy some hot cocoa or whatever, right? And just do that. If that feels amazing, then you do that. And the idea is that you do not question of how you're going to be breadcrumbed to the bread. You just know that breadcrumbs leads to bread. And you keep on following the breadcrumbs, which is, I don't know if you listen to Bashar, that's just like one format of delivery of that wisdom, but he is also saying that you follow your next most passionate thing that is available in that moment for you. He's talking about the breadcrumbs. But what I just described is the entire process of going from removing the distractions, having negative thoughts, debunking negative thoughts, having negative emotions, debunking negative emotions, and discovering the feeling, the seed of that. Then fertilizing it with your attention and awareness until it turns into the peace, bliss type of feeling, letting that flower into some sort of interesting, emotions, whatever it wants to do, and letting that give you the image of what that ultimate outcome looks like that you've been always dreaming of, but now it's genuinely really been flowered inside your consciousness, not imposed by your ego's will as a coping mechanism. You've done it. And then once it's done, it's done. Then, like I said, then that complete outcome that you've created is only then when it is done, because the image is important. Image that you've imprinted. So that blissful, peaceful feeling, beautiful emotions, and you imprinted that image of how it looks like. Your soul completion, your soul desire is completed now. Now, because you've done that, it will begin. It will begin feeding you these little breadcrumbs that you can follow. Until you've done that, it's not going to happen. And this is why I'm plugging in all of those facets into one cohesive process as much as I can describe it to you, that you can relate to, of how you can go through distracting yourself, negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative feeling, into the positive feeling, positive emotion, positive thought, and then positive action. You see, I went from distraction, negative thought, negative feeling, negative emotion, negative feeling, nothing, positive feeling, positive emotion, positive thought. Thought is an image, by the way. And positive action. Boom. The spiral of life. You went to like, and you did that move. And nothing more that you can do. If you have not fully fertilized the seed, so to speak, it will come back. But that's okay. You know the process, and you can go through that process again. And as you do this, the process may move from one thing to another. It might be that you've done it about this particular, distortion, and now you're receiving another one. Don't get discouraged that they keep coming to you. It's not bad news. It's like somebody's giving you um, a fertilizer that you can grow flower in, or sometimes when somebody's giving you um, the raw, um, if you will, ore, right? The metal ore out of which you can get the nugget out, right? Like, so you're not saying like, well, don't give me this thing because like I can't do anything with it. You can mine for the gem in it. um, this is why you don't complain, because like the more it comes to you of that negativity, the more awesome shit that you can create. So you stop complaining about it and you just do the process, and ending up really enjoying that process, and just keep on knocking out of the park over and over and over again. As long as it keeps on coming, you keep on doing it, and you just stop looking for the end, because this is the game. And like I said, you got to give it time, because you don't know when it's going to happen. Like, it may take 10 years and say, oh, I remember when I did this. I did this 10 years ago. And look at this, it's coming to me now. Or sometimes it would be like, oh, I did this thing and it's coming to me like few or days later. Like, oh wow, this one. So when is going to be plugged in into your time stream, you don't know. But you know that you've done it, and now you're following the breadcrumbs towards it. It's just like the most awesome thing that you can do with your life. This is life. It's incorporating everything that you've experienced. There's nothing else. This is how you live your life, guys. Peace, and I'll see you in the next one.